Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Hey, somebody say, hurt me, hurt me. We are back. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, good people?
And welcome back to another episode of Q Points, your safe space for meaningful discussions around Black music and the Black creatives that we love and admire. Jay Ray, tell me something good. How you been?
Listen, man, I'm good. I'm really, really good. This has been a crazy day, but some really dope stuff has happened. As you know, before this, I got to hang out with Anna Deshawn, and who's developing the Cube app, and she podcasts. So there was a podcast. There was this dope event called Unapologetic, Being Black and Queer in Podcasting. So I got to hang out, and it was a really, really good time. And hey, Les is in the chat. Shout out to you. So I am amazing, man. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I gotta say, I love seeing do this now. Like, y'all, Jay Ray was not the one to be in front of anybody's camera or talking on anybody's podcast. That was not his zhuzh, not his thing at all. And now he's a whole media mogul. He's everywhere now, and we love that for you. So how do you feel about this new level of exposure? How do you feel about it?
I'm learning to love it. And I will say you and this show have helped me to get more comfortable being in front of the camera. I'm trying to less. That's my challenge for 2022. And so I'm getting used to it. One of the things I realized Right. One of the things I realized is in order for me to go to the level in which I want to go, I have to step out of my comfort zone more. And while I love being in the background, love, moving the chess pieces where they need to move, I also need to be comfortable doing this. And so I'm much better at leaning into it. And that's the thing. Because you know this about me. You could throw me on stage and I'd be fine.
Right.
I'll have to go take a nap immediately after. But I'd be okay.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of leaning into it as one of my superpowers. So it's better.
That's what's up. We love to hear it. And I'm with you. You got to keep that your personal social meter in check and in mind whenever it is, because you got to replenish yourself, because this takes a lot out of us. Like this past weekend, oh man, I was outside this past weekend.
What did you do?
I was a little bit of everywhere this past weekend. I got to give a major shout out to the Slow Drag ATL crew, like Whitney, Lady Marauder, DJ Ross, Sirius. I know you guys have heard a complete beast on the turntables. And listen, Black women creating this whole space for just intimacy and music. It was something to behold. I am so glad that I finally went. And we're gonna have to talk about or have Whitney come on the show and talk some more about the slow drag movement, because it's definitely something that you have to experience in person. I got to give a shout out to Sean Phelan for putting on an amazing all vinyl event on that Sunday. You know, a lot of my peoples, my family, Peppermint Gaddy, you know, she set it off. My brother DJ Johnny Dynamite, he set it off on there. Silver Knight, Gorilla Tech, this dude I can't remember his name right now. Everybody came with their own kind of flavor, and that's what I love about vinyl events, is that everybody brings their own type of flavor and their own type of energy, and people danced. J Ray, people
Baby,
danced.
come on. Can we dance in 2022, kids?
We's dancing now. Let's give it up to Queen B. Has flipped the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when the Don't Break My Soul record dropped, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of just jumping into the conversation now. All these kind of opinions were just flying left and right, back and forth. Everybody, all of a sudden, first of all, did you know that we had so many house music aficionados out there?
I had no idea that there were so many house music experts, because I ain't never seen these kids at no party nowhere.
Everybody's an expert now, but enough of that. So everybody was posting their thoughts and opinions about the song. I simply said, and I think I said this about Drake's music as well, I simply said, I am grateful that these two major powerhouses have baited you all onto the dance floor.
Right.
That is my only thing. As a DJ, I am so grateful that they have baited you onto the dance floor, that they've got you thinking, oh, there's BPMs outside of 70. Yes, there are BPMs that go faster than that, and you are going to have a good time. This music, it's gonna feel good. You don't have to leave the hookahs alone. Leave your section, put the bottles down, and go dance. I'm so super excited about this new movement that we're seeing here. But, like I said, all these different conversations are happening about what is house, who originated it. Is it somebody called it disco, somebody was calling it dance hall. I'm like,
wait, what?
yes. So, but the conversation is happening, and I'm happy about that.
Absolutely. Couple shout outs. They Might Be Taping is in the spot. Our brother Daryl over there. Daryl, sending you love. Listen, out in LA. Trey is in the house. The legend himself, Kipper Jones, is checking in. The Kipper Jones is checking in. This conversation is happening, and we are just going to launch into, we want to give y'all some history, y'all. Please. Because I feel like folks are
First of all, that's what we do.
That's what we do
here on Q Points.
That's what we do.
We give y'all facts. So go ahead,
facts. Jerry. Folks just is out here talking. and there are a couple of things that I want to mention. So, I don't want to mention them now, because I know by the time we finish this conversation, I'm going to forget. Two things. First thing is, we got a contest going on qpoints.com. We got a contest going. So check it. Hold on.
He has it right there with him.
I have it right here. So I ended up with three of these.
Wow.
Now this one is signed by Wajid. Y'all can't have that one. I'm not giving that one away.
Wow.
This one Wajid signed. Wajid, right? So I have 3 copies of Strength by Wajid. Came out in 2018. It's a dope Detroit house joint, electronic, all of that. And if you go to qpoints.com, scroll down and you'll see the contest there. You can enter the contest to win one of these. I'm giving away 2. I have 3. So make sure that y'all do that. And so I'm gonna run the contest. I said a week, but I'm gonna actually run it for a few weeks, because I want people to be able to enter. And but yeah, I'm excited to give some music away. So that's number 1. So we're gonna do that. Second thing is, just please come to our webinar. If you also, while you're on Q Points and you're signing up for the contest, we got a webinar coming up. Because, Sir Daniel, what we're going to do is we got to talk facts about some history. And so I'm going to bring back the webinar that I did many years ago called Sacred Ministry, which is about black gay DJs, house music history, all of that. And so we're going to do that January 9th. So, yeah, we got some stuff.
That's amazing. And, you know, to put things in context, what this conversation is doing, what you're showing right now, this footage of Disco Demolition Night on January 12th of 1979, what you are looking at is the January 6th of black music. It is the January 6th of black music because this particular DJ took it upon himself. If you ask me, out of pure jealousy for how much popularity and heavy rotation disco music, which is super black, Latino, gay, all the marginalized people were making this music and making it popular and it was taking over the world. And so what you're witnessing here are people who hated disco and disco sucks and actually took this music to Comiskey Park baseball stadium in Chicago, destroyed the records, and then the audience in turn destroyed the whole stadium. The stadium. So if you don't see the parallels between that and January 6th, I don't know what to tell you, but I think that's what this conversation is all about. Why it needs to be had, because two go hand in hand. We're talking about, as Kipper has said in the comments, racism and homophobia are running through all throughout these conversations and these movements, because that's what's at the basis of all these, the foundation of these movements is racism and homophobia. And that's, I think it's very important because we've got people who are now, just talking about the Drake record, we got people who are now questioning Drake's validity as an MC because of the turn that he's made to dance music and foray into dance music.
I certainly hope that it's there's an example being made here that something like this will never happen again, not only for this ballpark, but for all ballparks around the country.
Some people are talking about, I could have done without the singing.
Now they're calling for Harry, and I certainly know that Harry will enjoy that, but I don't think he too would enjoy something like this going on.
But now what's funny is, and we were talking about this at some point too, is how
I think if they can hear, they ought to have the disc jockey from WLUP get on and ask them
more than they are
repeal
for
to their
Drake,
sense
is
of
what I'm seeing in the
sportsmanship and ask them to
comments.
go back to their
it was a whole
lot of
debate
fans trying to get in the
Drake
dugout
dropped
here.
the album.
The White Sox dugout, but they've got security guards around it.
Swirling
but it's a long night. I don't think there's possibly be a chance to play.
Yeah, I feel.
I said before
so let's do a couple.
The only way I think they can stop this is along
Steve
what Bill was
Dogg
saying.
Was the DJ
some of these records are being thrown high in the air. They're going to strike people on top of the head
the field
and seriously cut somebody. And that's why I'm a little bit leery up here myself.
You can hear them in the background. They really need the people to get off of the field. This is happening at Comiskey Park. Now, I'm going to tell you what's really interesting, and I didn't realize this until I was getting ready for this show, and I've talked about this a lot. But this was a double
really can do anything but
two cities
apprehend a kid or two and take them out. They're trying
Chicago
to rescue the batting cage now out in short.
Where this music that we're talking about was birthed, right? But let's talk about the birth of this real quick. And we'll talk more about this if y'all come to Sacred Ministry, but we just want to ground the conversation because we think that's really important. So, Frankie Knuckles. Okay, let's take a step way back. I'm gonna go way back, okay? There is a person who is on the screen right now who is actually the common denominator between Ron Hardy, Frankie Knuckles, and Larry Levan. And that person's name is Robert Williams. Robert Williams discovered all three of the DJs who are kind of the trifecta people consider them like, oh my goodness, like those are the DJs that I respect, that I look to. Robert Williams, who's still alive today, is the man who basically put all three of them in some sort of position, right? So really the important foundational moment that created house is Frankie Knuckles moving to Chicago. Frankie Knuckles and Larry Levan are both from New York City. Robert actually asked Larry Levan to move to Chicago to open the warehouse. Larry couldn't do it because he was about to open the Paradise Garage in New York City. So he asked Frankie to move to Chicago, and Frankie said, sure. Frankie Knuckles moving to Chicago and working in the warehouse, which was a black gay club in Chicago, after hours club. All these clubs had to be after hours. That was the moment we were in, right? Was playing this music that people had never heard and people wanted more of. And it was at that point that you had the straight folks in Chicago like, I want to go and hear what Frankie playing in the warehouse. So now you have folks who are not from the LGBTQ community also entering the space and hearing this music. And it's that spark that inspired house music, right? So Larry is in New York doing his thing with the Paradise Garage. There's literally quotes from the time when DJs would get on the radio and say, the Paradise Garage, also Black and Latino queer club, where DJs would get on the radio and say, I heard this last night at the garage. This is what Frankie and Larry were doing, right? And house music is actually named after the warehouse. So people would go looking for the music in Chicago, and they would say, oh, I want that house music, the music that they heard at the warehouse. That's where the name comes from, okay? So you got Frankie doing his thing in Chicago. You got Larry doing his thing in New York. When Robert closes the warehouse, he opens another club, which is called the Music Box, and needs a DJ. That individual is Ron Hardy. Ron Hardy, a lot of folks, DJ folks talk about Ron. If Larry was like the spark, Ron was the fire. Okay? So both of these folks all three of these folks weren't necessarily playing house because house didn't exist yet, right? They were the individuals that inspired the genre to come to life. The Marshall Jeffersons, and the Steve Silk Hurleys, all of those folks. Listening to Ron and going to hear Ron play at the Music Box, where he played the music too loud and too fast, but the people couldn't get enough of him. And listening to him play, these DJs then went back and created this sound. So this music that we are questioning where it comes from was birthed in these, first of all, these black spaces, secondly, these queer spaces, and all three of these men, so Ron, Larry, and Frankie, all black gay men, inspiring this foundation, right? And so it is really important as we talk about house that we, one, honor where it comes from and honor the feeling that house creates. Sir Daniel, how many times we did a show on the feeling.
The feeling.
You got to feel it. You got to go on that dance floor. And folks in the chat, I see y'all watching the show. It's the feeling of
Matter
house.
of fact, the people in the chat just drop one word of the feeling that house music gives you. The main word that I think of is freedom. God bless his soul. We're coming up on the anniversary of when lost Michael K. Williams, the actor. Mm-hmm. And that clip resurfaced of him dancing in the park to house music. and it made you, the only thing that, it was a feeling of sadness and happiness at the same time, because he looked absolutely elated. He was in his element. He was free as he was dancing. And that's just the feeling we have here in Atlanta. We have House in the Park, which is a major dance party out in the park and here in the Metro Atlanta area, that brings people in from all over the world. Because of the draw of house music. It's, thank you, Kid, for transcending, because of how it makes you feel. So I think thank you for breaking that down, for paying homage to the forefathers of the music, because as a DJ, I get it. I get wanting to see people feel something when they dance. And if it's familiarity, happiness, whatever, nostalgia, I want you to feel that when you're on the floor. And so my whole thing now is, we're transitioning into our other conversation and bringing in our guests soon, which I'm really excited about, is that, when the music dropped, all I could think about when I was listening to it was, okay, how am I going to sandwich these new songs? And sandwiching is a term that we use of how you play something moderately new, then you play something brand spanking new in the middle, and then you play something a little older but still has some power behind it, just so that people are experiencing the new record in the middle and won't leave the dance floor. With this new music coming from Drake, the Beyoncés, and now I'm pretty certain there's a school of DJs right now that are coming up with different edits of popular songs that could fit into a set if you want to have like a house set or a clubby set right now. And one particular artist that's really good at that is K Tronada. Like a K Tronada remix, you drop that in any set, people lose it. I have a few K Tronada remixes that I absolutely adore and love putting into a set, and they always win. And K Tronada is from Canada. He's Canadian. And we are talking tonight about the influences of the Great White North, as it is referred to.
Yes, it's cold up there, bro.
Yes, it is cold. And we're really excited tonight to have our friends from, I've been calling them my Canadian cousins, are about to join us tonight. J. Ray, let's introduce our friends tonight.
Listen, coming to us tonight, we are super excited. We have invited our friends from the They Reminisce Over You podcast to come on and hang out with us tonight. We got some applause. We got applause.
Yes.
And really wanted to have Christina and Miguel here to just chop it up with us. One, I'm a huge fan of the show. I was actually just listening to the Don Cheadle show today, and just are a huge fan. And so we wanted to have y'all on so that we have this conversation about music and influence that has come out of Canada. So first and foremost, how y'all doing?
We're doing good.
We good. Thank you for having us on.
Oh, so welcome.
Please tell our audience about the They Reminisce Over You podcast. What can they expect when they tune in?
A lot of nostalgia. So just like the title says, They Reminisce Over You. We just look back at our favorite actors, actresses, musicians, singers, rappers, all of that. Basically the stuff that we all grew up on and love. And we just want everybody just to get out and celebrate these people while we still can.
Absolutely. And that's where we kind of cross over, because Points is definitely about giving people their flowers.
Yeah.
And so go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was curious. I was actually going to pick up on that point because I'm curious, what was the inspiration? How did you both get started doing this show? What kind of made you get into it?
You know what? We had talked about doing a podcast for a while. We were just sort of thinking of, we should do something. And I remember quick story. I used to teach coding at a college here. And I had Miguel record a screencast with me to critique all the students' work. And all my students were like, wow, your husband has such a radio voice. I think that was kind of like we started sort of talking about it. And, I do a lot of courses, so I'm used to just like recording as well. And Miguel used to tease me and talk about my radio voice. And so that kind of sparked it. And I think it was really like we were talking about Tidra Moses, which ended up being our first episode.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the thing that like really sparked it, because I've been such a fan of hers for years, and Miguel would hear me listening to it all the time. And then finally he's like, let me listen to this. And then I was like, we should do a podcast where we, talk about the things that we like that maybe we think deserves more attention, yada, yada, yada. And They Reminisce Over You.
Yeah.
Was born.
And see, that's so funny that you brought up Tidra and I brought up Kaytranada. Kaytranada's remix. That's one of the remix I love to play, is his remix of Tidra's Just Want to Be a Girl.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think, I know we do what we do over here on Q Points, but what's your favorite part about putting together the podcast and the whole, the technical aspects of it? And, when you release that baby to the world, what's your favorite part?
Well, for me, it's kind of like you bringing up the Don Cheadle episode, is just finding little nuggets about people that you didn't know before. Just like finding out that he was a dancer in a music video. And I found that out after we recorded, so we had to go back in and just throw out a bonus 7 minutes on this video that we had just found with him dancing in it.
Dancing his ass off.
Yeah, he was.
Considering he was coaxed into dancing, he was the most animated.
Yeah, so just little things like that for me is just finding out things about these artists and actors and actresses that I didn't know before.
Mm. For me, it's kind of the nostalgia. Sometimes it's like something I hadn't listened to in a while or forgot about, or maybe just like intentionally listening to it instead of just having it on the background while I'm doing work and stuff. Like I actually sit down and enjoy it like I used to back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Christina, you mentioned something. Actually, when I was listening to the Don Cheadle episode, it's funny because doing this, it's always surprising because sometimes I surprise Sir Daniel with the thing. So my surprising thing when I was listening to the Don Cheadle episode is I was like, I've never seen Colors either. Like, it's just a film I've never seen.
Huh. You've never seen Colors?
Never.
I am a nightmare walking psychopath. You've never seen Colors. Wow.
Know the song. Know all of that. Never seen the film.
All I know about the movie is just Ice Eagle and Colors.
Yeah.
Colors. Right. Yeah, you're right. Because that soundtrack, I think the soundtrack, to your point, resonated more with people, including myself, more than the actual movie. Because I know the song Pepper's on there, Roxanne Shante is on there, of course, Ice-T. So yeah, you're right. The soundtrack resonated more with me than anything than the thought about the movie. But so let's break this down. The two, you all are Canadian. Shout out to Miguel. He is officially Canadian today.
Still LA.
Wait, still LA.
So that's what I was gonna ask. So you, Christine, you're the one that's
I'm the Canadian.
You're the Canadian native, and Miguel, you are the transitioned into a Canadian.
I tricked him.
So like, how did that happen? Like, how did you two find each other, basically? And Miguel, what was the transition from LA to Canada like? What sparked that?
Well, the first time we met in person, because we met online, as people do these days.
We both had blogs.
Yeah, this was during the blogging era.
Yeah, and like we stumbled on each other's blogs and just kind of started, leaving comments, reading posts, and then that just kind of created a friendship.
Yeah, and then I put something up like, hey, I'm going to be in Toronto for my birthday on this date. Anybody want to hang out? Mm-hmm. A couple people did. She was one of them. We hit it off, and from that moment, for what was that, 15 years ago, to now, long distance relationship.
Yeah,
me moving here in 2010.
Yeah,
married in 2011, and still here, freezing my butt off in the winter.
Because it's got to be love to make you stay in that cold weather. It's
Problem
gotta
is,
be love.
the first time he came to Toronto was
in the summertime.
This is a trick.
July 4th weekend. Yep. So I'm walking around like, oh, Toronto's nice.
I remember him being like, oh, this reminds me of LA. And I'm
because it's like 80 degrees outside. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. Next time I came back in December and it was completely different.
Wow. So that brings me to, so we're back to the point about the music, and we're talking about, Canada and its production of music. And I'm thinking about how Canadians consume music outside of Canada. And like, so Christina, when you were coming up, what was like consumption of music for you? Because, we had our outlets here, MTV, we had the radio. What was, radio like for you growing up? And, I guess videos consequently after that.
Well, I think, so I've had two different experiences because I actually grew up in BC. And I grew up in like a smaller town, or I mean, it's not a small town, like a small city outside of Vancouver. And this is like, 80s, early 90s. So I discovered rap and hip hop, R&B and stuff like late 80s, early 90s and stuff. And it was really hard because you just don't really see Black music in Canada at that time. And so the way I consumed it was anything that was popular that was on Top 40 radio. So I might hear like, a CeCe Peniston or like Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. So, I'll hear the big hits for the Top 40. But much music is like our MTV, right? And so in terms of Black music, all we had on Much Music for a while was this show called Extended Mix. And then it was shortened to The Mix, and it was like 1 hour on Saturday, and it had to play like all kinds of Black music. So it had to play R&B, rap, maybe a little reggae, some house in 1 hour. And then there was Rap City, which I think it started off like an hour a week, and then it ended up being like 30 minutes Monday to Friday, something like that. And so that's kind of, I just had to like get it in little nuggets as much as I could. I recorded everything on VHS. And a lot of it was just trying to find, I would go through all the different radio stations and just try to find something. And I would catch like these little college radio stations. There was also a hip hop station that came in from Seattle. So it was really just kind of like piecemealing this all together, because this is like before the internet. So everything had to be sort of just radio and TV.
My goodness. When I think about even me, like, so I discovered hip hop later, and I've talked about that on this show. Let me say that differently. I fell in love with hip hop later. I was introduced to it, of course, growing up from when I was a kid, but I remember being in 6th grade, and Wani is probably watching this show and introducing me. And I remember the reason why I think I fell in love so late is because for me, it was like my parents, I was listening to what my parents listened to for the most part. That was like kind of where I was. And I remember needing to be in a space where somebody was introducing like all this stuff that I had never heard to me. And it was music videos that actually made me fall in love with hip hop for the first time, was watching the videos and all the dancing and all of that stuff.
And Miguel, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I miss how hard we used to dance to everything back in the day.
We used to dance so hard.
We got all our cardio in. If we had Apple Watches back then, do you know how many steps we would have clocked?
Yes.
Ridiculous amount.
Yeah. Every time we see old videos, I'm always teasing Miguel, talking about, I know you were dancing in hard bottoms and rayon shirts.
Shiny patent shoes.
Yes. Talk about it, Miguel. And that brings me to this question, Miguel. Coming from Los Angeles to Canada, like, well, you were an adult, I'm assuming, at that time. So, like, your music's, I guess, coming from that, huge music scene in LA to Canada, what did you discover, or what do you think was like, what did you discover when you first got there to Canada and was like, okay, yeah, we got the internet at this time, so music sharing is not really a thing, but were there any kind of Canadian homegrown acts or anything that you discovered when you finally moved over to Canada that you were like, this is brand new, this had the most impact on me when I moved here?
Funny enough, the same weekend that I came here for my birthday, I wanted to get a haircut because, you know, you new city, going out, you got to get fresh for the night. So I went to this barbershop downtown, and of course the barbers find out I'm from LA. They will start talking about music and whatnot. Hey, have you heard of Drake? And at this point I hadn't.
Right.
Seven. So he's just starting to release his mixtapes. So the barbers put me up on Drake then. And of course, I go back and listen to it. Didn't really think too much of it at the time. And then when I got back to LA, actually in Vegas, I was living in Vegas at the time, I started seeing his name on the internet a lot. It's like, oh, that's the kid telling me about when I was in the barbershop. And that was the biggest thing for me, is seeing him starting to rise from random that I'd never heard of to now being probably the biggest thing in pop music.
Yep.
International star. And it's funny you mentioned Drake, and coming from California, a lot of people used to compare Drake's flow or say that he took his flow from Mac Dre, which is a Bay Area artist. How did you hear that coming from, you know, the Cali scene and growing up on that Cali music, Cali hip hop? Did you hear the comparison?
No, I didn't hear it at all. I've heard people say that, but me personally, I don't see it. Like, I see him taking styles from everywhere else, but I don't recognize any Bay or LA stuff outside of the motto. Like, that's a real Bay record.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I can see him doing Atlanta and Houston and all the Southern stuff, but I don't really see that much West Coast in him.
You know, we've talked about, of course, Kaytranada. We've talked about Drake. The Weeknd is also this international megastar now. And I remember during that same time when kind of Drake was rising in the, you know, the early 2010s, I remember the work that The Weeknd was doing, independent, you know, some of the independent stuff. And so it gets me to thinking about how just the influence of artists from Canada has exploded, in particular in the last 5 years. I think we hear so much influence coming from Canada to the music internationally, in particular here in the United States. Is that something that y'all feel like is true, even living up there, that like, oh my goodness, now our scene is really influencing the world and the sound?
Oh, definitely. I think, I mean, we talk about this all the time, especially him being American, is there's this kind of weird relationship between Canadians and Americans. Well, it's kind of like this one-sided, like little brother relationship. It's like for a Canadian artist to be considered successful, they have to blow up in the States.
Yeah.
And then once they blow up in the States, especially for the people who are kind of outside of the community, like, when you think of these earlier artists, like Cardinal Official was huge, but he was getting no love from like Canadian institutions. Like when he had that huge hit Dangerous, I was listening to an interview, he was talking about that, and he was saying how like what he was getting offered as an advance from an American record company, that's what a Canadian record company was offering him as his like whole deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's like, I had this huge record. And the only reason that these radio companies in Canada even want to play my music is because there's this thing called Canadian content where they are required to play a certain amount of Canadian music. And he's like, shouldn't you just play the song because it's a smash hit, not because you need to fill these like Canadian requirements?
Right.
And the thing is, Drake kind of broke that, where he became so huge that it's like Canada had to finally claim him. But it's just kind of, it's like this, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of annoying though, because it's like, you didn't care about him or Cardinal or Michie or Maestro Fresh West when they were just people who were living in the margins. But now that he's this worldwide superstar, all of a sudden everybody wants to claim him as Canadian. Everybody wants to call Toronto the Six, even though nobody really calls it that. It's like, now everyone is like so proud of Toronto. But I think in terms of that helped nurture Toronto artists or Canadian artists, because now they can see a Canadian that they can look up to rather than looking up to American artists.
Right.
So.
That's so wild that you bring that up about how a lot of Canadian artists weren't getting the love, especially the pioneers, because I remember distinctly being in 8th grade and copying this album. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm gonna pull it down so you can see it. But copying the First Priority Music Basement Flavors album when I was in 8th grade and being introduced to Miss Me through this album and hearing it on like a DJ Red Alert or a Marley Marl playing it on the weekend. And true to what you were saying, the Victory is Calling song that she did, it was like she had to have a cosign from MC Lyte, an American cosign on the record, and when she handed it off to her in the rhyme, and that bring, you know, that what you just said kind of echoes back to that. And I have not a funny story, but it just came back to me when I first visited Manitoba. My cousin's cousin took me to a house party. He had a house party, and all the kids were there, and Maestro Fresh West was his favorite. That's all he kept talking about was Maestro Fresh West. And I remember being there, and I think I saw on Much Music, because that was my first time ever seeing Much Music, the video, and he was kind of like J. Ray. He kind of reminded me of the whole, he had like Big Daddy King swagger, you know, the Rakim kind of, not the flow, but just that presence. And, you know, everybody was rapping kind of swift back then. And I just remember the kids going crazy in the basement party. I'm like 14 years old and seeing all these older kids just going bananas for this music. But then they kept introducing me as, oh yeah, this is such and such's cousin. He's from the States. And everybody immediately started asking me, do you know such and such? Do you know, like, I became the hip hop ambassador that night. Because I'm like, listen, I'm only 14. I know as much as y'all do. I know it's dope and what's playing here, but it was just I found it really interesting to be in that moment. And it was something I'll never forget. And hearing, you know, the Canadian flavor and how much influence, you know, the United States music had on them as far as hip hop. But we were kind of blown away from, you know, Miss Me and how she kind of she was one of the first to get a deal here in the United States from a United States label. She had the deal there, but Ivan Berry, you know, got her the deal here in the United States with First Priority Music and the distribution. She had Boogie Down Productions co-signing for her, which was huge, you know, a big co-sign. And I think, do people still regard Michi in high standards in Canada to this day?
Yeah, I actually saw a video earlier today of a roundup that they did for last year's Juno Awards, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was her, Cardinal, who else was on it? Maestro Fresh West was on it, and a couple other people basically giving and honoring the pioneers of Canadian hip hop with like 7-8 minute set of them just coming out and performing all of their songs. So people are now starting to look back at it and appreciate what the forefathers and foremothers did for the people who are out here today.
But it's interesting because I think, like I was saying with just how big Drake is, I think it's just kind of forced Canada to be like, oh, this is a real thing. And like, we should honor it or get on it or like recognize it. Because Maestro Fresh West said, I didn't know this until yesterday. I watched an interview with him too. He is the reason there's a rap category at Junos, because when he got nominated, there was no category. So he was nominated in like a dance category or something. Yeah.
So the next year they had an actual rap category because of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things I love about your show is, of course, you don't just cover music. Y'all cover a variety of topics. Can y'all talk about, you know, one, what topics that you cover in general, and for each of you would have been, what's your favorite show that y'all have done and why?
Well, in terms of coming up with stuff, it's basically we'll be sitting around watching TV and see somebody and be like, hey, that's so-and-so. We need to do an episode on them. Write that down.
Yeah.
And that's basically how we do it. Something will pop up. We'll hear a song on the radio, see a music video, see somebody in a movie. It's like, oh, that's so-and-so. We forgot about them. Let's go ahead and do something on them.
Like, for example, when we were just kind of researching for the Lorenz Tate episode, we kept seeing Clifton Powell.
Yeah.
And then we would watch something else and he would pop up again. So I was like, okay, write that down. We'll get to Clifton when
so now have Clifton Powell. So basically that's it. We'll be watching one thing, see somebody else, and it works its way back to it.
Yeah. So
that's so funny you bring that up. Like, I don't think people realize how much of an influence a lot of Canadian comedians and actors have had on the popular culture as far as television, sitcoms, Saturday Night Live. I mean, for all intents and purposes, is the birth child of a Canadian, right? Is it Lawrence? Or I believe it's from Canada, or at least he's gotten a lot of talent from Canada, and a lot of improv talent comes from Canada. Alan Thicke is from Canada, and and that's who's responsible for Robin Thicke, but also a lot of the theme songs that we grew up listening to is from Alan Thicke. So people got to stop sleeping on Canada.
There's a lot of talent here that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah. I think it's kind of easy to forget too, because a lot of times, as I sort of mentioned already, like they have to go to the US to get the deals, to get popularity or whatever, especially if it's kind of outside what this Canadian stereotype is. Right. Like a bare naked ladies can stay here and do fine. But Tamia and Deborah Cox, it's like they gotta go to LA or New York or something to blow up.
Yeah, and I was just going through a list of Canadian R&B artists the other day, and there's so many people that I didn't even realize were Canadian, because I saw Glenn Lewis on the list. I'm like, what? So there was a lot of that, because just even going back to like Michie Me and Maestro Fresh West, at the time I didn't know they were Canadian, because I would see the videos like on Yo MTV Raps and see the ads in the magazines, and never knew they were Canadian until like years later. So there's a lot of that goes on too, because people blow up in the US and you just forget that they're Canadian.
Because they usually end up staying there too.
Right. Like they don't come back.
Yeah. Like I will say, the good thing about Drake is he's always repped the city. Yeah. Like people can say what they want to say about, like, sometimes he's got his Memphis accent, sometimes he's got his UK accent,
trust me, daddy,
or now he's doing house music, but you always know where he's from. So I do appreciate that. I think personally, I'm not really a fan. Like, I feel like I should like it, but I like the odd songs here and there, and he definitely makes very catchy music. But I think for me personally, like, he blew up at a time where I was just kind of starting to lose interest in like newer rap, because now I'm just getting old. I'm like, this music I don't think it's for me. Like, I will just go and listen to the stuff I was listening to in the 90s and the early 2000s. But, I do appreciate that, he always reps Toronto. And like one of my favorite music videos of his is when he's just acting up in a Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah.
Because like Shoppers Drug Mart is just so...
It's kind of like a CVS.
Yeah. It's just so...
Or Walgreens.
Yeah.
He's like playing employee at Shoppers.
I'm like, that's Shoppers Drug Mart. Like, you just don't see that, right? Yeah. Like, even all the movies and stuff that are filmed in Toronto, they pretend it's LA or New York. So It's just fun to actually see Toronto as Toronto.
So what are you excited about coming up now as far as shows? Because you all are going on a hiatus.
Yeah. Right? Summer off. Last year we waited until the fall to do it, but we're going to take advantage of this good weather, take a couple trips, go to Montreal, hang out on some patios, drink some fruity drinks.
That road.
Yeah. Like Drake would say, we're going to get out and touch the road. But
is there anything that's coming up that you want to, topics that you all want to touch coming up?
We have, like we were saying, just a list of people that we're going to be doing in the next couple months. But the first episode, is it the first one or the second? Is the first episode back is going to be the 25th anniversary of Mariah Carey's Butterfly.
Ooh, good one.
On my birthday.
Yep, on her birthday.
Wow.
So that'll be our first episode back in September. We have Eddie Murphy that we're planning on doing, Arsenio.
Yeah.
30th anniversary of The Chronic, Giancarlo Esposito, just a whole list of people.
Yeah.
That Arsenio show sounds like, because Arsenio just doesn't get the props that he deserves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of hip hop came through Arsenio.
Absolutely.
So we just want to do something about Arsenio as well.
That show was also something that helped me discover or just be able to see a lot of music and stuff too. Because like I was saying, it was hard I had limited options, but I just remember seeing all these acts on Arsenio and just watching it now. It's like, wow, I can't believe all of this came through Arsenio, all these people.
You just fall into that YouTube rabbit hole and just sit there and watch all these old episodes.
You know, and what's interesting about Arsenio too, and and Kipper said as well, Arsenio was black music for a minute, right? It was the place where you could kind of go and get it. Arsenio took so many risks as well, which I loved with his show. I will never forget the hubbub around him having, Louis Farrakhan on, and when he had Magic Johnson on, like the day after his announcement that he was living with HIV, like Arsenio was really at a time really like, I control this. I get to decide who's going to sit on my couch. And he was putting folks on that folks were not trying to touch. And I really appreciated that about his show.
Yeah. And even just the way he interviewed his guest as well. It was just like people could just be themselves. They didn't have to like code switch if they were going to go on like a Jay Leno or something. They can just get real, Arsenio. And you just kind of the interviews were more candid.
For sure. Is there anybody now that look to and that's taking those kinds of risks and is marrying the comedy, the music? Is there anybody even doing that now? Is there anybody locally and in Canada that we could that is possibly doing stuff like that?
Oh, the human serviette. What's his name again?
Nardwuar.
He is bananas. Like,
I don't know who his research staff is, but they know everything.
And he's been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of Nardwuar before, and the fact that his AKA is the human serviette, he's an odd bird.
Yeah.
But the interviews that he does is wild because he gets so deep, and like he'll ask them stuff about things that like they forgot about.
Remember.
They're just like, "Did you call my mom? Like, how do you know this?" And he's always presenting them with like these gifts and stuff.
Yeah, the most random things, like stuff from their childhood that they completely forgot about. Like some of his best interviews to me are the ones with Tyler, the Creator.
That's where I know that name from now. I was going to say, I think I've seen his Tyler interviews.
Yeah, because I think they just did another one like last week, and they're all just amazing. Yeah, Nardwuar's weird, but he's great.
And he does this thing he always ends his interview by going do 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 do, and then the person is supposed to say do. And the way different people react is hilarious. Some will play along. There's this old interview with Nas, and Nas just looks fed up, like he's just ready to go. And the Nardwuar does his odd do 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 do, and then Nas is just like,
why did y'all
he's
book
refusing to do do. And Nardwuar would just and Nas was just like, I gotta get out of here. But yeah, there's an interview with him and RZA that's also really great because RZA is just so you can tell he's just so excited to talk about all these just kind of like things that he's digging up that it's like he doesn't even realize how weird Nardwuar is. Right. He's just like, wow, I get to talk about these things that nobody ever talks about.
Exactly.
Listen, artists, I'm sure, love that. So for y'all, where can folks tune in to your show? Where should folks stay in touch with y'all? Where can they find you?
On the social medias, on the Bird and the Gram, at Troy Podcast, troypodcast.com. You can hit us both up on our personal email or Instagrams and Twitter. We're linked in both of those in our Troy Podcast, so follow us there. The podcast is pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, so Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, all of that stuff. YouTube.
So we post on YouTube later.
Castbox. So anything that has a podcast player, we're on it.
Or you can listen to it straight from the website, too.
Yeah, or from the website. Either or. We make it easy for you.
Yes. Nice. Well, I've been really looking forward to this, and I hope this experience was, that you enjoyed the Q Points experience, as it were. But we were really looking forward to this and connecting with you, because I just feel like there's some shared experiences, for both of us from here in the States and in Canada that we just don't get to talk about enough. And I'm glad we had this opportunity to share those with you guys.
Definitely. And like we were talking about off air, we are formally extending an invitation for you guys to join us on They Reminisce Over You. We don't know what date yet, but we're going to throw that out there. No pressure.
We'll have our people call your people.
No, we coming. So just let us know.
We there.
What food we got to bring. I got to bring something.
Oh, it's going to be fully catered and taken care of.
All right. Well, say less.
Right.
Say less. I'm there.
So listen, y'all, thank everyone for joining us in the chat and hanging out for tonight's show. So I'm going to say all the things that I need to say. One, I want to say thank y'all so much for coming on, Christina and Miguel. We have placed the link to your website, to your podcast in the chat so our folks can stay in touch. We'll make sure it's in the description. So, folks, make sure that you head over to qpoints.com and you can become a Q Points Insider. Sir Daniel and I are recording our first piece of extra content Sunday. So we're about to launch the next phase of this whole thing. So you want to become a Q Points Insider so you can stay up with that. Also,
it's going to be fun too.
It's going to be super fun. We're not going to tell y'all what it is.
Hilarious.
It's going to be fun. It's real different than this. Make sure that you visit the website too while you're there and sign up, do the contest, and make sure that you register for the webinar. So we want to see you at both of those things. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast. You can also leave us a star rating and a review over there. So please do that. Podchaser, please make sure that you leave us a star rating and a review on Podchaser. I say this every show and I'm going to say it again. It really does help to spread the word about the show because of the way Podchaser moves. So we really would appreciate it if you just left us a rating and a review over there. And if you are anywhere but on YouTube, you should go over to YouTube and you should subscribe to us. If you are on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and it will let you know when we live. And Sir Daniel, I ain't gonna forget you, bruh. Sir Daniel, hit up his Mixcloud. Sugar Honey on the Rocks. Make sure y'all getting with that. You killed. I know I talked about this on the last show. You killed it.
Listen, I had a whole bodega moment last Saturday. If you have an opportunity while you're touching the road on your hiatus, get the Mixcloud app. There was I did a whole freestyle moment, freestyle music from like 85 to 87 in that era. And it just brought back so many memories, and I think it's primed everybody to get on the dance floors again. And I'm so super happy to have had that moment. Again, thank you again for the people who's been leaving the reviews. Y'all almost got some thug tears out of me. I really appreciated that from you guys. And like we always say, J Ray, every single week, what do I tell the kids? In this life, you have a choice. You either pick the needle up or you could let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J Ray. And that is Christina and Miguel from the They Reminisce Over You podcast.
And we want to thank you. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Bye.